Greetings, Mr. and Mrs. Internet, and all the ships in space. I'm Bram Michelson. Coming up in today's episode, what's a crocodile doing in a church? Are spicy lattes the next big thing? Has the US Navy developed a supersonic submarine? But first, are we in for some seriously nasty weather, like something out of the movie The Day After Tomorrow? Scientists are seriously looking at the idea that an important current in the Atlantic Ocean might be getting ready to go to sleep. Computer models are serving up a chilling forecast. Within 100 years after hitting a certain oops point, people in the Northern Hemisphere might be ice skating to work. Reports are, since the 2000s, the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, or AMOC, that watery air conditioner which is crucial for carrying heat from the tropics up to the northern latitudes, readings indicate that it has slowed to an alarming rate, the slowest it's been in almost 1,000 years, and some speculate that it may stop entirely. So, what's to blame? Oh, you know, the usual suspects. Toasty temperatures, melting glaciers, turning our oceans into a freshwater cocktail. Hold the salt. And what does less salt mean? A weaker Gulf Stream. And what does that mean? Well, this current is like a conveyor belt. It takes heat from the equator down to the poles. And if it does shut down, Europe could see longer, colder winters while the southern hemisphere sweats it out in a permanent heat wave. And now for the cosmic query. When and if we do hit that tipping point, will it be as rapid and dramatic as we've seen in movies like The Day After Tomorrow, or hinted at in the frozen mammoth story? The soothsayers of science are still scratching their heads on that one, but don't worry. They're probably busy cooking up some kind of high-tech warning system that might give us the heads up before Mother decides to throw us into the freezer. Flash, South Korea. The wizards at Yonsei University in South Korea have cooked up a culinary marvel. Beef-infused super rice. Yep, you heard that right. Rice that's been beefed up with 7% more protein and 8% more fat cells, straight from the steer. While it doesn't yet taste like beef, it does carry a unique blend of aromas, including a slight nuttiness and umami, which are characteristic of meat. So, how did they do it? Lab-grown cells need artificial scaffolds to create tissue, so the researchers decided that the porous nature of rice would make an ideal scaffolding. Then, to help the beef cells latch on to the rice grains, the latter were coated in fish gelatin and left to culture in a petri dish for up to 11 days. So, what's the grand plan? To lace it with all manner of meats and fish. The potential for this technology is as vast as the prairie sky. Personally, I'm not a big fan of lab-grown food. When super science mingles with the bright stuff of dreams, you gotta wonder, what's on the menu of tomorrow? Tuna corn? Porky peas? Time will tell. Flash, Thailand. Here's another worldly story that's bound to rattle your chains. These two brave, or foolish, Thai students have turned ghost fear into ghost careers. These spectral sleuths will lay down their sleeping bags in your potentially haunted houses, and if they survive, they'll certify the property free of things that go bump in the night. Cheng and Boom Prakong knew that realtors had a real problem selling properties where deaths had been reported in the past, and decided that there was a market for ghost-free home certifiers. Now, while Cheng is fearless as a lion tamer, Boom Prakong confesses that ghosts give him the creeps. But fear not. He's armed with sacred amulets, charged up and set to blast those vengeful spirits back into the great hereafter. And what do they charge for this? And come to think of it, what fee is sufficient when the cost of such a venture might be your very soul?
I'll swallow your soul!
Come get some.
Flash, Lombardy, Italy. I have a riddle for you. What hangs from the rafters of a church is 5 centuries old, but is more reptile than gargoyle? Yes, that's right. I'm talking about none other than the ancient embalmed Nile crocodile that dangles from the rafters of a church in the Lombardy, Italy region. Now, this isn't your garden variety hanging taxidermy. Nope. It's a 500-year-old relic. Can you imagine the shock and awe of the pious and the pilgrim as they crane their necks skyward, locking eyes with an actual crocodile? Could it be a relic of reptilian wrath, or a dangling symbol of good trouncing evil? I'm not sure, but how did it get there? I can't see someone walking into a cathedral like that and saying, hey, it's a really nice place, but it needs more crocodiles. Well, some believe that the crocodile was caught and killed after escaping from a private exotic zoo. while others claim that the animal one day attacked two brothers resting on the banks of a nearby river. One of them cried out for help to the Holy Virgin, grabbed a knife, and killed it. Personally, I think that's the most plausible explanation, because as you can clearly see in this picture, the croc has been defeated. Some of the legends surrounding this creature are wilder than a boar on roller skates. As one local legend goes, the crocodile was let out of its cage when a circus passed through town, and it took refuge among the reeds and lotus flowers of the river. The crocodile was then blessed with the gift of human speech by the Holy Mother herself. Now, no matter how the crocodile managed to get up into the rafters, as your intrepid chronicler of the uncanny, I ask you, is this reptilian resident a divine deterrent, or just the oldest conversation starter this side of the Tiber? Flash. Guangzhou, China. Hold on to your taste buds. Jiangxi Coffee in China's Jiangxi province, land of the tongue-scorching cuisine, has created a concoction that'll make your grandmother's spicy meatballs seem like vanilla ice cream.
That's a spicy meatball!
The hot iced latte, iced coffee, infused with dried chilies and a devilish dusting of chili powder. Since its debut in December, this scalding sensation is jumping off the counter faster than frogs in a dynamite pond. 300 cups a day, to be precise. So, what are people saying about it? Surprisingly, almost everyone gave it positive comments.
I don't think it's very spicy. On the contrary, it tastes fine. This coffee is not as weird as people might think.
The new pepper latte is not bad. It tastes slightly spicy and a little sweet.
But predictably, not all the reviews were glowingly positive.
I'm stunned. It's absurdly abnormal.
I guess there might be some back-end issues after consuming this spicy stuff.
While a few fear it might wage war on their innards, but for 20 yuan, that's about $2.80, you too can dance with the dragon. So what do you think? Are you up for this? Could spicy coffee be the next frontier in caffeinated delights? Or is this just a spicy flash in the pan with back-end issues? Flash. U.S. Naval Research Laboratories. If you thought that supersonic speed was only for high-tech fighters, think again. Rumor has it that the U.S. Navy is cooking up a submersible so swift it'll give Sonic the Hedgehog a run for his coins. We're talking supersonic speeds underwater. Now, I hear you. Dude, how is that even possible? It's made possible by the use of something called supercavitation, and no, that's not a new dance move. It basically involves encasing the entire vehicle in a giant air bubble to reduce drag. It's kind of like creating your own supersonic fast lane at depth. The Soviets toyed with this idea for the use with torpedoes back when bell-bottoms were in. But these days, the US and would you believe it, the Chinese are now neck and neck in this underwater race. Questions abound, though. How do you steer an aquatic bullet going around 1,000 miles an hour? Or is go fast, go straight the mantra? And at those speeds, how do you avoid putting a dolphin-shaped hole in your hull? But if they do get this to work, the world is their oyster. Let's assume that this craft has got unlimited range. At 1,000 miles an hour, if you set off from San Francisco, you would be off the coast in Hawaii in just over 2 hours. 4 hours after that, you could be sipping sake with the Japanese. So how does that stack up to conventional submarines? Well, the United States Navy's Los Angeles-class submarine has reportedly a top speed of around 30 knots. That's 35 miles an hour, which can do a trip from California to Hawaii in around 3 days. Tactical advantages of such a submarine are obvious. Are we on the verge of Atlantis-level tech? Or is the Navy just blowing bubbles? Come to think of it, could this be an explanation for the sightings of USOs, or unidentified submerged objects? Chances are, we'll never know. Thanks for tuning in. That's all the weird news I've got for you this week. I'm Bram Michelson. See you next time.